Hi guys, welcome to another video. Just thought I'd do a short one this time and just talk through all the things that I liked about my recent trip, all the things that was the downsides of it, the pros, the cons, and what would I change from that trip in regards to things like kit, route, anything really. So enjoy. So first of all, this trip was amazing. So really enjoyed going over on the ferry, not really having a route, just knowing I wanted to do the Normandy beaches. And I really enjoyed just not knowing where I was going to end up that night. So just riding, see what the weather like, coming across some surprises. So there's a few things that I really wanted to see. So I earmarked them and they're in my mind of knowing roughly where they were. And to be honest, going along Normandy beaches is quite hard to miss everything anyway, because it's also very well signposted and is designed for the tourist to actually see it all. There's lots and lots to see along the way, but the one thing which I really enjoyed was just dipping in and out of towns just quite randomly, staying off some of the cycle paths, because then you got to see things that you wouldn't have. A lot of the cycle paths are quite preen, so especially from if you're coming up from Point de Hoc and then working your way along all the way along to Oysterham, down there is very well preen, great cycle paths. You can't miss anything. You can't miss any of the tourist attractions. Omaha Beach, Gold, Aramanche, you can't really miss anything down there. So you're not going to get lost. You won't need maps to follow at all. Everything's signposted. You can follow that path. Or if you just keep the sea on your left, to be honest, you can't get lost. You're going to pop across everything. For then, if you need to look at a map, you can just quickly look at your phone, see where you are, and carry on from there. But yeah, you definitely don't need to plan a route for that. A few bits that I would change about the trip that I did personally, and complete mistake, was where I charged my GoPro batteries the night before. I actually forgot to take all the spares, so charging became a bit of an issue. Now I did have my Anker power bank, which is always handy, but charging from an Anker power bank is fine, but then once that Anker power bank's flat, it takes ages to charge it up in France because it's a much lower voltage than here in the UK. So my power bank usually takes about 2.5 hours to charge here, where I was finding with even leaving it on charge for 4 hours, it wasn't even half charged. So really consider about charging there. So my phone, I have the iPhone X still, it's quite a few years old, but it still works perfectly for me. So I haven't done that. So the battery's not the best on that, so that needed charging often. But I would either take a secondary Anker power bank, but also take the spare GoPro batteries, which was a mistake on my part. Another thing which I definitely would change is I took the single USB charger plug for using over there, which I don't know why I took that, because I always take my triple socket one. Next time I would definitely take my triple socket USB charging plug, because it means you can charge everything at the same time. I could have had my power bank in there, my GoPro, my phone, everything all charging at the same time. So even if it was just a couple of hours, the power bank would be charging up, the GoPro would be charging back up to full, my phone would be charging back up to full, because they were charging okay. It was mainly the power bank that was struggling. However, you have so much time in the day to do everything anyway. Even having a rest for 2, 3, 4 hours doesn't really make a blind bit of difference, because you have got to from sunrise to sunset to see everything anyway. I could have covered way more mileage than I needed to. Anyway, I could have been doing 100 miles a day if I really wanted to, but I was quite relaxed. So it didn't really change the outcome of it. It's just maybe instead of being at a place where I could charge, I could have gone and sat out with a great view, sat in the sun and gone enjoy the outside, even had a snooze under the sun. The pros of this trip though were just I was so relaxed throughout. The only day which obviously was a bit more tiring was the headwind, but that's just cycling, you just take that in your stride. But it was so relaxing. And I came back from the trip, slightly tired legs, not too bad at all, but my mind was so relaxed. And I came back feeling fresh, feeling good about myself, and I'm definitely going to be going on more of these. whether I take the ferry across or just fly to another country. Take the bike over in a box, leave the box at the airport, which a lot of the airports are really accommodative that you leave it to the people that work there and they'll take it out the back to big bins. Put your bike together, it really doesn't take long. You just fold your bars in, take your front wheel out, protect your rear mech hanger and rear mech. That's the only thing really you have to worry about. But other than that, loads and loads of places that you could go. Fly, ferry, you could drive over there, leave your vehicle in a spot and do a great big loop and drive back over if that's really easy. But all really depends on where you're going to go. There's so many places for me to go and see in Europe, so I could go from Dover, go for Poole, Portsmouth, New Haven. There's so many ferry ports I could leave from, or flying from Bournemouth, which is only about 3 miles away from where I live. So lots and lots of opportunities to go and see different places next year, and my mind has been racking this constantly since this trip's, thinking where I could go next year, what's feasible to fit around my work. The list is growing constantly, and I don't think I've got enough time to actually do everything in next year that I've got on my mind. But it was an amazing trip. The tent was great, absolutely amazing. The dry bag on the front worked great, although like I said in my videos, I'd have preferred to have the tail fin 10-litre mini panniers on the rear and just have a small bar bag just with my essentials at the front, maybe the charging gear. Overall, the bike setup was fantastic. A few bits I wouldn't have taken, just the few extras really, but it doesn't really bother me taking those few extras because, like for instance, my full rain jacket, definitely didn't need it at all. Even if it did rain, I could have just had a lightweight waterproof jacket that I use anyway, but this was way overkill, but I would have probably been grateful of it should, for whatever reason, it would have absolutely dumped it down for a whole day. I'd have been really grateful for it because it would have kept me completely bone dry, below the waist, just slightly below the waist as well. So yeah, would have been really, really good. But I only really caught a couple of bits of rain around Aramanch, so I got down to the beach. I could see the cloud coming behind me, so I ducked into a cafe, had I think lunch was over at that time, so the only thing they were serving was desserts really. So I had a crepe with some ice cream and a double espresso. It was only about 10 minutes anyway, but I thought, yeah, stop in there, dip in there, just relax for a little bit, because I knew I'd made up really good ground with the tailwind that day, and why not? Just have a little rest and enjoy it and soak up a little bit of that village that was around Aramanch, right by the beach there. So yes, and then after that, really, there was no plan whatsoever. It was just I had 2.5 to 3 days to get back to Cherbourg, ride wherever I want. If I had a lot more fitness or a lot more time, I'd have preferred to go much further south for that, and then work my way the whole way up the west coast there. But this was only a short trip, just 4.5 days, really, when you're including the ferry, because my first half day was already gone with getting the ferry from Poole to Cherbourg. So 4.5 days, but very, very relaxed. Very relaxed indeed. Worked my way across the country. As you saw on the second night of camping, I camped beside the river. That was amazing. Really, really good spot. The only thing I didn't like was just about to go to bed and saw a rat run across, jump out the water, run across where I was cooking food on those slabs that are on the water's edge, and then it ran back again. So that's clearly a little run between two nests, I'm guessing. They didn't come near the tent or anything up there. I saw them a couple of times just run across that route. Seeing all the monuments along the way, all the cemeteries for all the different countries in pristine condition. They really, really embraced that. It was really good to see. I would say the best place I did see was Point de Hoc. There was a lot of history there with all the bomb holes, the shelters, the gun points, just the walk around there really. The next best thing I actually saw was the American cemetery. That was massive. Really overwhelming really, seeing the amount of gravestones there and how many people actually did lose their lives. But it was good to see they embrace and celebrate the lives of those people that did pass and fought to obviously overcome the beaches from the Germans. But yeah, it was really quite humbling to see all that. And everything that you see along these beaches is really emotional. It's really weird. You're just riding up to them, and all of a sudden the emotion just drops through your body, because you realise what's gone on. If you've ever watched any documentaries about taking the Normandy beaches, D-Day, anything like that at all, it is really emotional there. But like I said, moving away from the beach then after that, it wasn't really about the Normandy beaches. It was just about riding across French country, soaking up a few sights, seeing a few little villages, a few little stops, having a few eateries. Quite a lot I didn't film because there was a lot of people in cafes and a lot of noise. So I just went in there, had a chat with a few people here and there. If they spoke a bit of English, it was helpful. I tried to speak a little bit of French, but very basic I can speak. So it's only really greeting someone, saying hi, and I can kind of understand a few bits, but certainly can't hold a full conversation. But that is something which in time, maybe French and Spanish to learn, because it would open up so much more scope, especially going further into the central France, because the last trip that I did when I flew over to Geneva and rode back in central France, there were so many areas where no one spoke even one word of English. Very accommodating, really nice people, so they weren't trying to pretend they don't speak English. It was just very rural. They do not speak English whatsoever. So I genuinely believe you should embrace the country and learn the language. So I'm certainly going to be, over time, learning a bit more. So hopefully just to hold a basic conversation there. But yeah, then when I worked my way across the country and really got to St. Lo. St. Lo was really nice little town. Stopped for a recharge, had a bit of food there. Stopped off at a Subway actually, because that was really handy, because there wasn't much open, because there was a procession in the town. They closed the town for a wedding that was going on, but Subway stayed open. So I popped in there, had a foot-long Subway, which was really my dinner. Saved me cooking when I got to camp. Rode along the river, didn't obviously get to where I had planned because they were renovating all the path, so all the sides were dug up, where I was thinking, I was going to camp on the side of a river, but ended up going through the Pont Herbert, or Herbert, however you want to say that, and just camping on the side of the river there just before the town. The police did turn up. I didn't film that, obviously didn't want to cause myself any more trouble than it was worth. But they rocked up just asking what I was doing just before I was going to bed, but they were fine with it as long as I was going early and not staying there, which obviously I wasn't. It looked obvious that I was bikepacking and not looking to stay up and make a place to stay for a few weeks or days even. But yeah, it was a great trip there. And then once I got out of that really, really damp, cold morning and the sun rose, went into the patisserie, got some cakes, got to the top of the hills, then out the valley, sun rose, and it was warmed up considerably. It was a very cold morning that morning. I think it actually, looking at the temperature on my Wahoo, which records it all, got down to 6 degrees. So 6 degrees, damp, cold, dark, you really feel it. But I wasn't cold in the tent at all, because my sleeping bag, like I mentioned, is a good 3 to 4 season sleeping bag, so you can go down to well into the minuses of degrees Celsius down there. I think it's something in the region of -10. You're comfortable Celsius. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but I'll put that up on the screen. And then yeah, from there it was just pleasurable, really pleasurable, just working my way to the west coast, knowing then I'm just going to follow the coast on up. And it was really, really relaxing from that point, knowing it was going to be reasonably flat. Although the last day it turned out to not be so flat, because instead of going along the coast for the last bit, I thought I'd go through the little back towns, little country villages, things like that. Go and see an old castle, which I knew was up. Oh, I can't remember the name of the town now. Oh, I'll put it up on screen. I completely forgot what the name of the town is for now. And it was a great castle, like in the middle of the town, massive, massive old, looks like a huge fort, but constantly all the way up and down there, it was going up and down every single valley to the top. So that was quite tiring, but I had so much time to get to Cherbourg anyway. And then just before I got to Cherbourg, I was hoping to get up to the museum at the top of the hill, which is a real switchbacky climb, about 350, 400 foot climb. Reasonably relaxed. So it'd have been a great view over Cherbourg and get some great footage, but they'd actually closed it. Although I don't know why, there was no sign to say why, it was just a barrier across the entrance, so I couldn't get in there or get any footage from up there. But it was a great trip. Great trip. All my kit, nothing let me down whatsoever. So all my cycling clothing with my Rafa shorts, which are my go-to shorts, the Rafa Adventure shorts. Great pad for me, fits me perfectly. It's different for everybody, obviously, but they fit me the best for my body. You would have seen my company's branded cycling top on there for Hen Consulting. That's really what I do for a living. I'm just a insurance advisor for businesses mainly, but do personal protection. I'll put links to everything of all my kit, everything in the description anyway, so if you ever want to have a look through that, you can. And to every single piece of kit that I've got there. Quite a lot of the links are affiliated links, so it does help me. It does give me a little few pennies, and it is pennies through that. A lot of the Amazon links, the Kilos gear links, they're affiliated as well. So if you've seen any of my other videos in regards to like the chairs, there's there, you get discount from there. So you're more than welcome to use them. And if you have any questions about the kit through Kilos gear, just let me know. I have got a few more pieces of kit coming up in the next few videos, which I'm going to be testing. So look forward for that, because one of them is an insulated sleeping pad, which I was going to buy actually, but then they sent them to me because I'm affiliated with them. I'm going to be giving my complete honest review of it, so I'm going to test it in some cold camps to see how it fares, because my current setup is my Decathlon 4-class 700 mat with no insulation whatsoever, but I run a closed cell foam pad underneath it, which keeps me plenty warm, but it's bulky. Obviously you're taking two big items there, whereas I'd prefer to just take one pad. It's plenty protected inside the tank, so I never pitch on really spiky ground or stony ground, so it's protected through that anyway, so I'm not worried about getting it punctured. So an insulated pad would be quite nice. It's quite thick actually. It is a little bit bulky, but it's not that much heavier than my pad. But it's a lot less bulky than taking the mat and the pad. So it'd be good to test that. I've got a big self-inflating pillow. It's massive. It's twice the size of my Trekology Aleph Deluxe pillow. So I'm intrigued to use that. It feels almost like a memory foam. But like I said, I'll put the links to everything down below. For you to have a little look through, and like I said, I'll clearly state which ones are affiliated links, but it doesn't change your price at all. It's just, I really put them more there as an insight to what I use. And if you have any questions whatsoever about the gear I use, or you're considering buying it, let me know. Let me know in the comments. I'm really happy to have a chat. I'll read every comment that's ever put there. And I really like not wasting people's time, because when I first started camping years and years ago, way before I started doing these videos, is you waste money on kit because you buy the gimmicky things. You go straight on Amazon or go into a shop and think, oh, I really need that. And then it turns out it just sits in a garage or in your shed. Doesn't get used at all. So I don't want people to waste money that I have potentially in the past. So any questions at all, just ask. Or if there's any pieces of kit you think are really good for your camping that you haven't seen in my videos, let me know, because I'm well up for testing new gear and seeing things which are really useful for that, whether it be in bike packing, hiking, van camping, anything at all. But let me know. But yeah, the one thing I'm really keen to know as well is, where do you think that I should go as my next camps? Let me know in the comments. It'd be great to hear of areas you've been which are just amazing, because I can look on Google Maps all day long. It's really hard to plan routes. And obviously really varied areas in the UK, Europe. UK I haven't really explored as much as I'd like, so a lot of places maybe in the south or Wales would be great. I've gone to the Peak District a fair bit on road rides, and I do want to explore a little bit more of the Scottish Highlands, maybe more in the summer for that, because it does get rather cold up there. But yeah, let me know, and any questions whatsoever about this trip or anything in the future, it'd be great to hear from you as well. And if you don't subscribe, it'd be great if you would be able to click that, because it really does support the channel. And the more subscribers out there, the more exposure I can get through that. I'm not looking to obviously make as much money as possible, or even any money from doing this, but it's just great to be linked to other people, like-minded people who do bike packing, hiking, just camping in general, bushcraft, anything from there at all. Because now I'm in the period in the UK where it's starting to cool down, it's getting damp, so I can do these camps in the woodlands. So have a nice campfire, cook over the campfire, and I think this winter I'm going to be doing a lot of proper big meals from there and experimenting with big cooking in the future. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and see you on the next video.